hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me?
With your host, Brandon Tierney. In 3, 2, 1.
What's going on, everybody? BT Unleashed back on this Thursday. Lots to get to. 14 days before the NFL draft, so we will jump right into it. I've got a lot of basketball today. Got a couple of baseball notes, but today's show, as always, brought to you by Sullivan Papain, one of New York's best personal injury law firms, according to U.S. News and World Report. You can find Sullivan online at triallaw1.com. That's triallaw1.com, and also by Premio Sausage, the newest member of the BT Unleashed family. Of course, great meal store with great ingredients. Premio delivers flavor that you can rely on. Premio Sausage, the way sausage should be. Find them online at premiofoods.com. That's premiofoods.com or in your local grocery store. All right, there, J-Rod, Young Buck. Let's roll. A little housekeeping today.
Let's go.
I'm ready. I'm going to pull you in. We got a little Knicks Celtics out of the shoot. But tonight, episode 3 of the Jets Collective with 14 days to go to the draft. I told you, things are shifting now a little bit. Who knows if it's posturing? Who knows what's real? But we'll tell you tonight, coming up at 7, myself and Jake Asman, Rich Samini, episode number 3, Jets Collective. Are they going to go to Bailey at 2, or are they just kind of playing possum, trying to incentivize somebody to move up and trade? Obviously, Reese from Ohio State's been that guy pretty much for the last couple of months, but we shall see. And not just the Jets. We've got a lot of stuff. That's tonight, coming up at 7. Of course, on YouTube. Like it, subscribe it. All right, couple of things here. So this is just a side note. So there's certain things that I do, and there's certain things that my wife does, right? Now, when I was younger and single, now you don't have to do this, J-Rob, because it's just a totally different world digitally here, but I used to actually enjoy, I don't know why, maybe because I saw my dad doing it.
Sure.
I used to enjoy sitting down in my apartment in Manhattan on a Sunday night, usually like before The Sopranos or something, and hammering out all my bills. Got the checkbook, right? I've got car payment, garage payment, obviously rent, whatever it might be, right? Take care of that. Like I'd mail the 4 or 5 checks. I'd feel good. All right, see you in a month. Everything's taken care of. And then, I was the kind of person who wanted to just, even I'm talking about like early in our marriage, I wanted to do all that. I was used to doing all that, but my wife's really good at it. And I'm like, man, I mean, if she could do that and she enjoys that aspect of it, well, then by all means, help me out and go for it. And she's great with that, right? So there's certain things, as I said, that as the husband, as the man of the house that I do, and there's certain things that she does. Now, you could say that this might be my responsibility, but it's just not the way it's laid out in our home. We have a pretty good alarm system, right? And this freaking alarm, dude, I'm seconds away from smashing my head through a wall because here's what's going on in my house right now. Now, they're returning from Texas today. All right.
Okay.
So I've had a couple of days to myself. I was out there for Easter throughout the first pitch with the Rangers, came back, and obviously I wanted to do the show today, Tuesday and yesterday. And so anyway, they had a couple of days there with Granny and Papa. Kids are off, spring break, no school, blah, blah, blah. So one of the things that she handles is the alarm. And the alarm, meaning, not turning it on and off, and we both do that, but I mean dealing with the alarm company. Because one thing that I've got no patience for is calling an alarm company, and I don't mean in an emergency. Of course, they pick it up quickly then, you hope. But like dealing with being bounced around, this dispatch or this, I just can't do it. I get frustrated.
It's too annoying.
I don't have the bandwidth to do it. So she does that, right? So I don't really know how, not that I don't know how to pick up the phone and make a call. If I had to, I would. But long story short, I guess there's a shortage here, which means you've got to contact I hear it now, the alarm company, and they'll reset it and all that stuff. Now, when I texted her last night, she was either out to dinner with the family. I don't know what it was, but basically the alarm, not outwardly, so you can't hear it from the street, but incessantly, it is driving me nuts. Every 2 minutes, I just hear ding, 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 ding,
that
ding,
is
ding.
Awful, man.
And then I forget about it, and then ding, 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 ding. Then it stops. So I need her and them to get home, obviously, because I miss them. But I really need her to get home to deal with this because I'm losing my fucking mind with this alarm. And here's the worst part, Jay. It was happening all night when I was sleeping. All night. Even and I even like shut it off, right? And you would think, well, you shut it off. I mean, if it's off, it's not gonna ding, 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 ding. Now it's also not going to activate, God forbid, if I need it. But I was willing to roll the dice last night, and all night, dude, ding, 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 ding.
That is brutal, dude.
Dinged out. It is driving me freaking bananas. I'm going nutso with this, man. So that's one thing. All right. Number 2 or number 3. So I had to do some stuff after the show yesterday. That's why we had to start early and end early. But after that, I had a chance to go out and play golf for the first time. I told you, right?
Yep.
Told you I was going out with the boys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So first of all, I'm not going to bore you with my my follies on the golf course. I will give you the quick summation. And I usually putt pretty well. I putted like Phil at Augusta when he was winning, and I hit the ball outside of probably 3 or 4 good drives. I hit the ball so poorly that they wouldn't even let me sell bottles of water 3 miles from Augusta in a broken down van on the side of some highway. It was awful. Now it's bad enough. I told my friend, I'm like, dude, how long with my buddy Rob? I said, how long have we been playing golf? Now, again, I've been through this thing where I think I told you that I'm not going to get into it now, but where I started playing lefty because I was a lefty hitter in baseball. Didn't start playing golf until after college. But so when you're that late, it's an uphill battle anyway. And then I hurt my back and I had back surgery. So I'm like, well, maybe I could try to play righty because it alleviates the pain, the way the vertebrae are stacked and the nerves and all the other stuff that was going on with the compression. So I tried that and that didn't really work. And then I had the surgery. And then I came back. I didn't play for 5 years. I'm like, well, let me try to play lefty again because that's my natural default. And I suddenly got this aversion. Like at the top of my swing, I got this Charles Barkley mental. I don't even know what you call it. Where my hands the take back was good, the setup was good. As I get to the top of my golf swing, getting ready to descend and go through the ball, my hands would almost go out, and then I couldn't swing. So it basically led to I hit a couple of shots backwards. No joke. I hit a couple of shots sideways. Like I dribble the ball. I'm like, I'm either not playing or I'm not playing like this because I'm not going to torture my. Now, I'm also at the point where I've got no expectations, so I no longer get angry. I used to be a lunatic. I told you the story when I threw the club in the lake when I lost at Myrtle Beach. My brand new ping putter. Like I've been through the mental gauntlet. I don't allow it to bother me anymore because quite frankly, I'm just happy that I'm healthy. I go out there, 3-4 times a month, if that, but at least a couple, hack it up, see my buddies, have a little fun, get a little mental respite, get back to work and coaching and all the other stuff. Right. So what happened was, now, because I got that wacky thing lefty, I still putt and chip lefty because when you're chipping, you're not bringing your club past your belt. On a short chip, you know what I mean? And putting is obviously easy. So I play right-handed, but I chip and putt lefty. All right, so number one, it's already a circus act. So, I mean, full disclosure, if you see me, I mean, pray for me because it's really pathetic and it's embarrassing, but it is what it is. Okay, so it's bad enough that that's my plight in golf. The night before, I went in the backyard for only about an hour, put a couple of logs of wood on the fire pit, wanted to watch the Yankees a little bit, put the TV on outside. And then when I was grabbing the wood, it seems like such a wuss thing, but I could not get it out. I got a splinter, right? So obviously gripping the club, that's not exactly ideal. So whatever. I'm like, whatever. My kids have splinters, It's one of the little subtle joys in life as a dad when your child gets a splinter and you actually get it out. And I don't know, it just feels so good.
Dude, so just a quick side. So my dad, when I was younger, I used to be terrified of tweezers, when I got a splinter. And so he would put sandpaper on it and it would always work, bro, every time.
Sandpaper, actually on the skin, shave it down?
Yeah. He would sand the splinter down and it would work.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I could see why. I mean, the skin would get lower, which means the splinter would get higher, and then you pop it out. So anyway, I couldn't get it. Now, I had one drink. I was watching the Yanks. I really had water out there. I was just kind of chilling, enjoying the night, and I wasn't worried about it. And then during the show, it was bothering me yesterday. Not enough to where I'm going to tell you, but I'm like, this thing's annoying me. I'm going to play golf like this because I really couldn't grip it. Anyway, so I could because my wife's not here. I have no idea where the freaking tweezers are.
Sure.
I don't know. So I finally found, I looked through every bag, every drawer. It wasn't in the medicine cabinet for some reason. So I finally find it. It's not working, right? And I'm digging, and I'm bleeding. I'm like, I don't care. Like, I don't care if I'm going to need a stitch. I'm getting this freaking thing. This thing is going to be out of my finger when I go to the golf course. I'll tape it up. I'll suck it up, whatever, right? So then, couldn't get it. So then we have this board with like push pins, like a calendar and some old, pictures, maybe the kids, well, just like a family thing, right? I go and I get a push pin, and I sterilize it, and I'm digging, and I'm digging, and I'm digging. And then I'm doing research on ChatGPT. I put it in hot water for 10 minutes. It'll kind of soften it. I do that. Now it's raw. Now it's bleeding. I finally got it out. And when I tell you that this looks like a little tiny paper cut, you have no idea how deep this thing is. I performed surgery on myself just to go out and shoot a shitty 102.
It looks kind of like, it definitely looks like a sizable cut right there.
Yes, a sizable one indeed. I quit like golf. Well, I don't quit, but I do. I come before you humbly, golf gods. I'm not asking for much. It's hard enough to figure out the grip and the tempo and the swing and in the rough and in the sand. Just let me have healthy fingers moving forward. It was brutal. All right, man. Let's get to the show. So we'll do Knicks and Celtics tonight. Now, the Celtics are really banged up. It's not so much a preview of the game because it's a regular season game, whatever, but I'm talking more macro with the Knicks here. So the way the Knicks season ended last year and the way the Knicks season going into this year, I should say, the way I felt then, October-ish, and the way I feel now, it's two completely different feelings. So I felt great about the Knicks. I remember saying on the Fan, and I quickly corrected it. I'm like, all right, that's a little bit ambitious. Calm down, tap the brakes. But when me and Sal were doing it, our Knicks predictions, I remember saying Knicks were going to win 60. And then as soon as there's that alarm, you can't hear the alarm, by the way. It's not audible.
No, you're good. You're good.
Air, right?
I
can hear it.
I'm sure it's driving you ballistic, bro.
I'm going to smash it at some point if they don't get home soon, which they will, right? So anyway.
But yeah, not audible.
Not okay, good. So I said 60, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a little bit much, right? I'm like, and I think I settled on 54, which they very well might. They got 3 games to go. If they win all 3, they'll get 54 because they're 51-28 right now. It's not about projections or saying, oh, I was right or I was close, whatever. It's just about, I felt great about the Knicks going into the season. And I felt great about the Knicks for 2 reasons. Number one, I really liked their team, and I knew that they brought in some new bench pieces, which was an issue for them last year. So the issue that really plagued them a year ago, I thought they resolved with the additions of the bench to fortify that. And so I love the team, and so I just based on the Knicks as a singular entity, I felt great about the Knicks. And then to boost that even more, the circumstances, and we all know what the circumstances were around the Eastern Conference. Obviously Tatum's out, ruptured Achilles. Tyrese Halliburton, who always sticks the dagger in the Knicks like Reggie used to, out for the season, ruptured Achilles. Pacers are an absolute doormat. They'll be picking early. The Celtics, very, very, very impressively, have strung together an amazing season, and obviously Tatum is back. Now, when you think about this, the 2 things, how I view the team coming in and the circumstances around the team, certainly in the East, and not even thinking about the championship, because you deal with the West if and when you get there, but just to represent the East, I felt great. So for me, check on the team, check on the circumstances. But here we are. And I'm not trying to be overly negative here, but it's really the exact opposite. I don't feel really good about the team, and I absolutely feel worse about the circumstances. And let me just give you a couple of circumstances, a couple of things. This is also impacting not just the Knicks, but Cade Cunningham, if you guys missed it, did come back. So he played the other night, and last night he played, right? And he played 25 minutes, 13 points, 10 assists, all right? So the punctured lung, he's back. They've got a couple of, he's got to get his wind back and all that other stuff. But what's happened in the process, in the 11 games that Cade Cunningham missed, number one, Detroit didn't stop winning. They're 8-3. So that's going to embolden the other guys on the team with like a slight increase in role. And then obviously Cade comes back, and when he gets back to full strength, they could go back into the previous slot. But there's got to be much more conviction, much more confidence within those guys. So That's a win for Detroit, and that's a loss for the Knicks. And by the way, my guy, and I remember saying this a few times on the air with the Mink Man doing St. John's games with Dennis Jenkins, who followed Rick from Iona. And Dennis Jenkins, now he was on the two-way deal, and I felt good for him about that. But then they restructured that, or they bought it out, whatever the term is. Now he's officially an NBA player. Dennis Jenkins, without Cade Cunningham, 19 points a game, 8 assists, 4 rebounds in 35 minutes a night. And that's over 11 games. It's not 2 or 3 games. So what they're going to have to do and what they're going to have to figure out, and they've got a good coach, and they've got a lot of selfless players, so I do think it will be easy to figure out. They've got to determine how willing they are to play Cade Cunningham and Dennis Jenkins together in the backcourt. Now, I'm not saying you're going to run with those guys for 20-plus minutes a game, but that is a different look for the Pistons. The Pistons are already a problem for the Knicks and other teams in the Eastern Conference. They're tough. They're deep. They could shoot it a little bit. They got a superstar in Cade, and their other players have blossomed, and they've taken ownership of their new roles. So that's a problem. Now you get to the Celtics here. Now, again, the Pacers don't factor in because Halliburton's out, but you get to the Boston Celtics. Now, understand, like, what Jason Tatum has done is it's beyond impressive. I read something this morning that he returned from the Achilles rupture 200 days earlier than Kevin Durant did. Think about that, 200 days, not 15 days or a month. I mean, you're talking about what, 30, 60, 90, 121. I mean, 7 times 3 is 210. You're talking about 7 months. I mean, 7 months earlier, just about, right? So I'd be lying if I said, I checked the box score, sure. I haven't seen Jason Tatum play a full game yet. I've seen some of the highlights since he returned. I did not realize, that's why I'm really looking forward to tonight, even though the Celtics are banged up, which I'll get to in a moment. I just want to see his movement because everything from a statistical point of view is beyond. It's one of the most impressive things that I've seen from a player coming back from an injury, maybe ever. So he played 39 minutes on Tuesday, 39. So he came back in early March. I think it was March 6th was his first game. And he averaged 31 minutes a night. And in April, it went from 31 to 35. So an increment of 4 minutes more, right? And then, again, 39 on Tuesday. And he shoot 43% from 3. So, I look at the Knicks and I'm like, all right, where is the optimism? Well, I mean, you can always be optimistic. I mean, there could be blind optimism. There could be optimism that is laced with some fact. And the Knicks are obviously a good team. I'm not saying they're not good, but this is all about the championship. And it's funny. I don't think I got into this on the air at all. Maybe I was traveling. Maybe that's why. But did you see the other day, Jay, when Mike Breen this is probably, let's see, it may have been the Hawks game. So that would have been the Hawks game. I think it might have been. Knicks won that game. Good road win. And at some point during the game, Mike was talking to the Knicks fan, not admonishing them because that's not his style. I love Mike's the best, right? But he was basically telling Knicks fans, hey, don't forget, or basically don't have a championship or bust mindset. Something like
I remember.
that.
Yeah, I think I saw, because I saw Stephen A. go off on him for it. Yeah.
I'm not going to go off on him, but I actually agree with Stephen A. If you can find the quotes, just pull them up, and I want to have you read them real fast here. But I know obviously the gist and the meat of the message, so I could certainly start my opinion on this. And I think that Mike Breen's totally wrong on that. Now, if it's an opinion, I'm not gonna. You can't say an opinion's wrong, so maybe that's not the right way to frame it. But I vehemently disagree with Mike Breen on that. It's all about the championship because everything that the Knicks did was to put themselves in a position to win the championship. All the picks for Bridges, the contracts, the extensions, the trades. There's really nowhere else to go, man.
Yeah,
everybody else knows this. Go ahead.
I've got the quote. He said,
"Alarm! Oh my God!"
He said,
"Every 2 minutes, every 2 minutes.
That is
2
so
minutes
brutal,
left.
man.
2 minutes."
Oh my God, screw these pop-up ads. There are many Knicks fans and many in the media and many within the organization who feel that this season would be considered a disappointing one if the Knicks don't make the NBA Finals, Breen said. Obviously, a championship is what everyone wants, and that's the goal, but just remember where the franchise was before Leon Rose arrived.
Yep.
Jeez.
And Leon Rose did not arrive last year or the year before or the year before. Leon Rose been here a minute. So I say this with a smile because I think he's one of the best ever, and I think he's a great guy. I don't really care what Mike Breen says about that. I mean, I care enough about it to comment because I totally disagree. That's wrong. That's wrong for me. And it's obviously, as you said, wrong for Stephen A. It's wrong for many other Knicks fans. This is not like, say, when Tom Thibodeau first got here and they had that renaissance where, like, the COVID year, and they won a good amount of games after being in the abyss for most of the century. You know, they had Julius Randle and a young R.J. Barrett and Nerlens Noel and that team, right? And they wildly overachieved, and then they wound up losing to the Hawks, even though they had first-round home court advantage that year. Trae Young just absolutely abused them there, right? And it's not like we took that team and what happened that year, and then with no other adjustments or personnel upgrades, the next year, all right, which would have been 2021, right? So the COVID 2020, yeah, you're talking 2021 into early 2021. It's not like we took that iteration of the Knicks and like pushed it so forward where we were, you know, we created this championship mantra or bust. That's not the case. Like, that would have been unrealistic. They didn't have Julius Randle was really good, and we all had massive respect. I love Julius Randle, even though he's got some shortcomings, but it was a real deep appreciation for what the Knicks gave us. And honestly, for a lot of Knicks fans, even though most of those games there weren't fans there, although because of COVID and the regulations, the ordinances. But if you remember, when they got to the playoffs, they started letting people back in. So the Garden, you got to hear what the Garden sounded like. And of course, I've seen and heard, and I've been to a million Knicks games, playoff games, but there was a younger generation of Knicks fans that, you know, if you're 15 years old or you're 13 years old in 2021, you don't know what the Garden sounds like, or you've heard the stories from your dad, your uncle, you've seen documentaries, you've read about it, whatever. It came to life, and it was a reminder like, yeah, this is why MSG is the place to be. This is why there's no better sound, in my opinion, there's no better sound in all the sports than a late roar deep in the playoffs at the Garden, or a defense chant where it's full throttle, you know, as deep in the stomach and the lungs as you can conjure up when you know you've got a good Knicks team with a chance to do something special. And 19,000, you know, it used to be 19,763. They adjusted the attendance a bit as they refurbished the arena, but it's still around there. So I'll just say 19,763 because that's what I always that's the number I remember my whole life. We've got 19,763 in unison, you know, just trying to will the Knicks past that next checkpoint to get to a championship that, for many of us, we've never seen. You know, I do think it's the best sound in sports. I don't even really know, for me, what would be second. You know, like you think about some of the great teams, it's not Dodger Stadium. No disrespect. The Dodgers are phenomenal. The Dodgers are great, but it doesn't sound like that. Even the new Yankee Stadium, number one, the Yankees are not what they used to be, but the new Yankee Stadium, just the way it's built. I mean, think about the old overhang at the old Yankee Stadium. It used to hang like it was a threatening, ominous walk onto that field. It felt like a mosh pit. And I saw a lot more playoff games there than I did and than I have at the new stadium. I've been in World Series in the new one as well. But I mean, I went to basically every game. I was there in 96 when they won. I was there for Mattingly multiple times back in 95. There was no way I was missing Donnie's postseason play. Anyway, you know, you want to tell me like the old Boston Garden with the Celtics, or maybe old Chicago Stadium. It's funny. Ironically, I think the thing for me, and Jay, I want you to jump in on this. I know you're a little bit younger. Maybe you have a different perspective. Actually, a lot younger, different perspective. But to me, it is Masters Week here, and the Masters is underway, and all those, you know, Scotty Scheffler, all those big names. I can't wait. I'm going to watch it, you know, until when the kids get home, and I'll be watching basically every shot, streaming it, and of course through the weekend when I'm not at the baseball field, I'll come home, I'll record it, I'll watch every shot. I absolutely love the Masters. It's awesome, right? To me, the only thing that's comparable, and I'm sure I'm missing something obvious, so by all means, I want you guys to hit me up on the chat as well. Jump in. Again, I think the Garden late in May or early June, or even a little bit deeper, is the best sound in sports. I think the second best sound in sports for me is, you know, when you get to those back three holes, 16, I believe 16 is the par three at Augusta, with the little pond, and you got to hit it to the right spot, and it funnels down to the hole, whatever. And then obviously 17, 18, like when somebody drills a big putt late on Sunday, deep back, especially if it's a player like a Tiger or Phil or like one of those dudes, right? and it's like a swing on the leaderboard. To me, that would be my second favorite sound. Anything jump out to you? Other stadiums? Anything else?
Okay, this is a poor one just because, it's a very modern young person take. But I feel like in my time watching basketball, man, like Oracle Arena has seriously popped. Like,
yeah.
I mean, and it's a lot of bandwagon fans, no doubt. But
no, I got to correct you on that. No.
You don't think so?
No, I know. No, definitely not. Now, let me just differentiate between. So, they don't play at Oracle anymore. They obviously went from the Bay Area where the A's and the Rays. Okay. There, because I used to live there. Let me give you a little brief map. So Oracle was right. Just get me on a full screen for one sec. Thanks, man. So say if this is Oracle right here, you had literally the Coliseum right next to it. All right. So you can get back up there, Jay. So you had the A's, the Raiders, and Oracle. And the truth of the matter is, now the tickets weren't as expensive. But the Warrior fans at Oracle, because they were awful for so long, as we all know, before Steph and Clay and all that started happening. And it really started with Mark Jackson's team when Mark Jackson was the coach, as you know. So I don't know about the sound, but they were not front runners. They were there no matter what.
Really?
Yes, their fans. I must defend the Warrior fans at that point. Now, I will say this. I don't live there anymore, obviously, but when they moved from Oracle to the Chase Center in San Francisco, well, now it's a different clientele based on the prices. And when that happens, it could obviously negatively impact the sound and just the overall vibe. So I can't speak to that, but I can directly speak from experience that Oracle was phenomenal, all in, even when they were average or bad. So I just wanted to get that out there.
No, I mean, I just feel like every game I watch in that mid 2010s, early 2020s, it was, I don't want to say the loudest, but I'm pretty sure, I feel like when I was watching those games, it was just chaotic. It was loud. Anytime a shot would go down, it would just erupt. So yeah, there's my spot.
Well, I mean, Oakland's gritty. I mean, Oakland is, it's kind of like the Bronx and Brooklyn and Queens all wrapped up into one. Very similar. Those fans were phenomenal.
I wish I could say, the Carrier Dome, but it honestly was not crazy at all in my time there. We had a couple of buzzer beaters, but Joe Girard putting up 12 points a game.
Joe Girard,
and he's my guy. Listen, till the day I die, he's my guy. But it was.
I get it. No, it's different. You got to remember, I've been to the Carrier Dome when Syracuse was still Syracuse doing St. John's games, and they had 30-something thousand. And one of their traditions, I love it. And other arenas and other venues do this as well. I'm not sure that they invented this, but I remember wow, this is pretty cool. They don't sit down to the first bucket scored. They stand up, as you know. That's a tradition, and that place. It's such a unique place. Now, this is a different, branching out, different part of the conversation. There's just that intensity and that, that rage, the Garden, Oracle, an old Raiders game. I'm sure the Bills stay. I think Bills have an element of that for sure. And I don't think they will, but I hope they don't lose that with that new stadium, which looks absolutely dope. But going to a game at the Carrier, I've never been to a football game there. I've got zero interest watching Syracuse football play anything, to be honest with you. But to have been there for, just the way it's configured, because it's just it's a massive bubble, as you know. And basically 70% of the venue is uncharted when there's a basketball game, and then it's blocked off. And then some seats you could barely see. No, it's really, really in its heyday, phenomenal. I don't even know if quite, Cameron Indoor. And I've been to Cameron. I've done 3 games there. And, I'm not saying that it's not this, John Shire's a really good coach. They've got really good players, obviously. Trust me, I just watched them beat St. John's. I know. But I feel like it's different. Maybe that's a misrepresentation. But, without Coach K, without guys who were there for 2-3 years, I think that's taken a little bit of a step back. Quite frankly, I just feel like that fervent nature for sports in the actual venues, and maybe even the way people consume sports and watch sports, I think it's been a little dialed down across the board.
For sure.
You with me on that?
Yeah. Well, I also think now it's just there are so many because prices are so high, there are so many fans of different teams in different cities that it's not necessarily about like the most diehard fans are going to be at the games. It's more so the ones who have the most money. So it's like you could go to a Celtics game versus the Knicks. And obviously there would still be a lot of Knicks fans in the past, but now even more so because, you know, some Homer Celtics fans who maybe couldn't afford the game can't make it.
Well, think about this.
Taking over.
It's a great point. Think about this. When the Knicks beat the Sixers in the playoffs a couple of years ago,
that was awesome.
Knicks took over the joint.
Yeah.
Took it over. It was embarrassing the way Sixer fans got pushed out of their own home. That wouldn't have been that. Listen, that would not have happened. Again, the secondary ticket market access, it's a different game here. Not that you couldn't in the 80s go and scalp and get something on the street. Sure. Of course, that's how you get tickets, you know. That was so funny. Going to all those Knicks games with my dad, man, like just all the hustlers on the side. Yo, tickets. It's like, you know, but weed. Now you don't even see that because you go get it wherever you want if you want it. I mean, but yeah, that element's changed, but that was not happening with, say, Dr. J and Andrew Toney and Moses back in '83 when they won the championship. Hell, that wouldn't even happen with AI back in the day, you know, and some of those guys when they got to the championship and lost to the Lakers in 5 games. So, yeah, a lot has changed, and we just roll with the punches. And I think we all know that there's been a little bit of a shift here, but it really does go back to what, you know, it's not about what Mike Breen said. Obviously, I started the show telling you I just don't feel the way I felt about the Knicks coming into the season based on my expectations, based on what I thought the team would be, and then based on what I thought would be around the Eastern Conference with the stories that I already ran through. But I really, really push back vehemently and disagree with Mike Breen when he said that. I know that Mike went back, and again, his intention was not to jab. That's just not his thing. I mean, he's as good a dude as there is, really. Yeah. But I don't think that one hit the mark at all. You could be a great broadcaster, and you could be well-intentioned and a great guy, and you could say something that just doesn't resonate. And I think a lot of people objected to that or pushed back and didn't feel it. You know, Stephen A was one, and I'm another one as well. All right, Chickster 52. After last year's run, the expectation this year is a championship. Exactly. Of course it's a championship. Unfortunately, the team's inconsistency this year, it doesn't seem likely. Listen, I'm not even going to put a percentage on it, you know, because I don't really. I could give you updated NBA odds, whatever. Anybody could do that. But I'm not going to say 0 because I just think that that's irresponsible. Anything could happen. Knicks aren't winning the championship this year. Tell me how, or give me the reasons why. And I'm going to do this myself. I'm asking rhetorically here. But before you go, J-Rob, before you get it back on the full screen, all right? I want to write that down. All right. So why, when you were talking about, use the word O-R, how do you say this? O-R-G-A-N-I-Z-A-T-I-O-N. How do you say
organization?
That? Okay. So you grew up in Connecticut.
Yep.
Now, you didn't grow up in Quebec, you know, or Manitoba. you grew up in Connecticut. You went to school in Syracuse, right?
Yep.
Up in Syracuse. Why organization? Why are we dropping the I like
that? Did I say that?
You did.
Organization? Yes. I don't know. Maybe that's a Connecticut.
Yo, listen, we got the whole BT Unleashed. They don't miss anything. When I make a mistake, and it's not a mistake. If that's how you say it, it's all good. But, hey, fam, let them know. And if
organization. I've never thought of that.
Yeah. I don't understand why anybody that's not from Canada would say organization. I caught my ear and I actually jotted that down, but then we got to some other stuff.
Wait, I've never thought of this before. All right. I wonder where I got that.
I mean, are you not a big hockey fan? So I don't think it came from there.
Not at all.
Are you a big, salmon or halibut fishing fan? Do you go on these Canadian excursions that we don't know about?
Big time. No, I don't know. I went to Quebec when I was 14. That's about
it. Did you really?
Yeah.
Nice, man. Nice. I just had to circle back to that. I'm like, did he slip in an organization? Interesting.
I've got a super chat real quick, and then
Oh God Almighty. What are my thoughts on the Vrabel Rossini story? Ah, my God. I have had her on the show a few times. I like her. I don't know her very well, but every time she's a big fan of WFAN. She's a Bergen County girl. I think she's very good at reporting. I think Vrabel's a great coach. And that's the guy that I wanted for the Jets. And go back and find it. But he was playing the Jets. You knew he wasn't coming to this circus. He was just, he was basically incentivizing the Pats to fire Mayo. And once they got rid of him, they're like, yeah, he was just using the Jets as a pawn. Zero interest coming to the Jets. Not that you can blame him, but this is not about that. This, to me, honestly, you want my real opinion? This is between whatever's going on. And I mean, you can obviously deduce what's going on. You don't have to be a brain surgeon to kind of take a stab at it. I don't know their marital situations. I know because I saw a lot of clips surface where Diana talked about like when she got engaged and when she got married. It's not my business though, but if you put it out on air, I at least know that you're married. I thought Vrabel was married. I couldn't give two shits if he is or if he isn't. Here's my honest opinion on all this stuff, right? I actually think that there's just too much probing into other people's lives. If you were a grown man and you were a grown woman, all right, and you both consent. Now, if you're religious, that's obviously a vow that you're breaking. Not good. That's on you. You're going to have to reconcile that at some point. If you're Christian like we are, and you stand up in front of your family and you take these vows and you cheat. And I'm not trying to preach. I'm just responding to the question, but I'm going to respond to it in my way rather than just rail on people and just hammer people. I'd rather be more thoughtful. If you take those vows and you willingly choose to break them with infidelities or other stuff, I mean, that's a you thing. All right. I just think that the ever-present cameras are such a detriment to society. I really, really do. They're going to have to go back home. And if that's what it looked like, that's going to be a situation that's going to be messy. I believe they put out a joint statement. So that I think they actually acknowledged it, right? What do you want me to tell you, man? They're not, it's not like one of them, God forbid, is underage. There's nothing illegal. They're two adults. They're grown people. Now, the one aspect here, this is a delicate balance. Yeah, you want to tell me that there's a conflict of interest here in terms of getting information and reporting? Well, that's a discussion we could have. But I've never interviewed Vrabel. I've interviewed Diana probably 3 or 4 times. I really do like her, and I really do think she's cool, and I really do think she's good. But this is her thing. You know what? It's funny. Like, there's a lot of people. It's just a little bit of a commentary on life, so bear with me. There's a lot of people who love to gossip. Now, this isn't necessarily gossip. This is an actual image, a visual that the sports world's responding to. So it's a little bit different. But I've never been a gossiper. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just where I was raised. Like when somebody tells you something, and this goes back to my childhood in Brooklyn, you just keep your mouth shut. You don't run around and chirp and tell everybody. Like, I've got no interest in that nonsense. I've never been that guy. The old expression, what? Loose lips, right? If your lips are too loose, eventually you get popped in the mouth. More of an old school expression, sure, but you get the gist. I don't understand why people are so interested and consumed with other people's lives. I've got a theory, and here's my theory. My theory is that those who really parachute into that stuff a lot and are, really consumed with it, the gossip, the nonsense, the innuendo, who's cheating on whom, who's doing this, right? I actually think that their lives suck. Because if you have a good life, if you're fulfilled, if you're happy, if you're content, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's with another person, certainly as a parent, that goes without saying. In a work environment, why would you give 2 shits what's going on somewhere else? There's enough to worry about in the world. Whether it's a ceasefire, whether it's economics, whether it's a health issue, it's just a general direction of the world, which really at the end of the day is all I care about. Because, when I'm not here, as a parent, and we all, this is just the reality of it, we're leaving behind something that, given the direction that it's going, is far worse from what we grew up in. And I really think that the invasion of privacy and the cameras and the just pulling back the curtain on everything, opening up a phone and just eviscerating a colleague. Like, I had Stephen A on, right? And, I'm not getting in the middle of his feud with Whitlock. I don't know Whitlock at all. Never met him, never talked to him. Don't judge, right? His style's not really my style, but it's working for him. He's making some good money and he's got a presence, right? So I'm not here to really judge him. Stephen A is my boy. You know that's different. But I don't know Jason. But when I see them going back and forth, yeah, it's good for monetizing brands and getting those clicks and all that other stuff. But is it really a thoughtful conversation that's going to add anything of substance and value to life? It's not. It's just not. And again, I'm not trying to get preachy, man, but I was asked the question, and I don't care. I care about my wife. I care about my kids. I care about my inner circle. I care about my parents, my sisters, my nieces, my good loyal friend base. But I do care about the world on a greater, level. And the direction is very dangerous. And it's been like this for a very long time. So, I'm going to wrap it up with that. But, what's my opinion on Diana Rossini and Mike Vrabel holding hands and playing footsie in the pool? Gives a fuck. Who cares? That's my most honest opinion.
Dang.
Honestly, man, that's it.
It's celebrity drama. It's People's Magazine stuff. It's like, what is this guy supposed to do? I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
Not Vrabel. I mean, you. Like, yeah,
no, I know.
Like, what are you?
I mean, they got to deal with it. I don't. I got enough to deal with, between this finger, this little cut on my finger, and try to get the show off the ground even more. No, I mean, but again, I guess I do need to circle back to this a little bit more. You do need to, and her employers will have to do this, get to a place where they're still comfortable with her reporting on the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, it's a real conflict of interest right there. Like, that is,
I know this.
Suspect.
No, that is. I'm not going to deny that. That's not a good look. It's not a judgment on, stepping out of a marriage or two consenting adults. Again, that stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
But the other stuff is real. Like, think about, like, if Diana was, instead of being a journalist, which she is, say if she was just, a content provider, independent of a journalistic path, right? It's basically me. Like doing this, right? And you had a head coach in the NFL, and you have somebody who's pumping out content, but not reporting news. Then there's zero issue. I mean, I still have no issue with with that stuff. Like, that's on them. They'll figure that out, or they won't. But yeah, I mean, anytime there's now a story, or anytime that she presents information about the Patriots, how can it not be construed with, well, how did she get that? I mean, that is the sad reality of what's going on. But the other reality of this is that really it's been going on forever.
Yeah.
I mean, you hear about the casting couch, and you hear about all these horrible Hollywood tales, young actors, I mean, of legal age. The other stuff is a world of evil that I can't even wrap my mind around. I'm talking about of legal consent age, right? And you know how many people that that you watch and that you revere as actors and entertainers? Like, if and I don't know the absolute path, but I know enough that a lot of them, how do you think they got there?
Yeah.
What do you think was done to get there? Same with a lot of me, not all of them, clearly. Not a broad brush, but it is what it is. Musicians, that's the way it goes. I mean, if you're a person of incredible power, right? And you have literally the leverage to hire and fire and offer raises. I mean, you've got a button that you can push that can change somebody's world in a massive economic way. And when that's presented, there are a lot of people who will abandon morals and scruples to get there. That's just the unfortunate reality of the world, man.
Yeah. Big time.
Anyway, that was an interesting curveball.
I mean, someone also, they didn't send a super chat, but there were definitely a couple comments about it yesterday that we're looking for the answer.
Let me see here. This I didn't see. I must mention Diana was recently named the Eagles Insider of the Year by 94 WIP.
Do you see the typo? Do you see the typo in that? That makes it hilarious.
Hold on. Who's been stirring things up with Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown? What am I missing here? What
recently typo? Named Eagles Inside of the Year.
Oh God! Oh man! All right, I don't start going there. My good God Almighty! This is a little bit more on brand, at least for what the show started with. Knicks cranking up in the postseason. We upset the Celtics a year ago, the favorite for the title. Yeah. Now, before we got the Diana Vrabel comment there or chat, I start to go into like what is the tangible? You can get me back on that one screen there, Jay. Thank you. What is the tangible evidence that the Knicks are ready to win a championship? Like, what is it? You know, I can tell you, like with the Celtics, they've already got championship pedigree. All right. I can tell you with the Pistons, they have shown incredible growth. While they haven't won a championship, this group, they have shown incredible pedigree the previous year, how they pushed the Knicks, how they smacked the Knicks all around the court this year in the regular season. You know, their superstars back healthy. Their coach seems to be really, really good in Bickerstaff. Some evidence there. Denver Nuggets, they already won a championship together. Jokic is a champion. So is Jamal Murray, all right? Different coach now, but still at least championship pedigree. So outside of pedigree, which the Knicks don't have because they've never gotten to the NBA Finals as a group, what are the tangible basketball things that you look at this team and say, all right, this is why they're going to win the championship? And usually when you do that, there's two or three things that come to mind. Like number one, do they have a championship head coach? No. That doesn't mean he can't win one. You know, obviously, there's a lot of guys who weren't champions before they became, like Malone, before he was fired by Denver, who now is taking the job at UNC. That is a weird hire for North Carolina. I don't understand that. I don't even care about the money. $30 million, I thought I saw for Malone, who I wanted for the Knicks. I don't know. That was a weird. UNC's, they're kind of losing their way from a basketball point of view. They need to figure it out. I don't love the hire. But okay, you've got a championship coach. So like when the Rockets were doing their thing with Rudy Tomjanovich, obviously incredible all-time iconic names like Pat Riley and Phil Jackson, Casey Jones back in the day with the Celtics, you know, like Popovich, coaches like Curry, Steve Kerr. So it's not a head coach. So we don't put a check in that column. So it's not the head coach. Is it the superstar player? Not for the Knicks, it's not. And I love Jalen Brunson. I love him, man. He ain't Kobe, all right? He ain't MJ. He ain't LeBron. He ain't KD. He ain't Steph. He's not Olajuwon. He's not a Timmy Duncan. He's not one of those guys. He's like that next cut. And it's very hard to win a championship when your best player is that size and a deficient defender. Even though he puts out max effort on defense, he's still a subpar defender. We know that, right? So it's not the coach. It's not the superstar player. All right, well, now we're really working uphill. We're grasping at straws. What could it possibly be? Well, how about the supporting cast? Not to the point. No, I read this morning. Jay, I don't know if you saw this. You probably didn't. I saw a story. You might not realize this, but the Knicks have the highest paid starting lineup. Totality. Really? Yeah. I think this year it's $179 million, I think it is, for all five, right, for the starter. So nobody in the NBA, when you go to the opening tip, has five guys making more money than the Knicks. So they've obviously invested, the draft picks with Bridges, but an incredible amount, and Brunson's still on a cheap deal, of financial resources to the starting five. So that's number one. But the story was that I don't know if it was a week or so ago, Stephon Bondi from the Post had this. Good work. He does a good job covering them too, where the Knicks met as an organization and they were kicking around ideas because they didn't think about this. The Knicks get off to bad starts a lot. And if you're not starting the game well, I'm not looking at the bench. I'm looking at the starters, right? That's common sense. Yep. So they were trying to kick around some ideas like, well, what can we do to maybe sit one guy down, insert some other guy, and maybe go from there to fix what ails us? And there was a thought. Now, not everybody's – I got to sneeze here. That's the worst. Oh. That is the worst. Excuse me.
Bless you.
That's the first sneeze on YouTube. Thank you.
Really?
That's the first sneeze on BT Unleashed. Yeah.
Wow.
So the allergies are kicking up a little bit here.
Yep.
Anyway, so the guy that they thought and was eventually shot down, I don't know how much it was, was it at midfield? Was it inside the 20? Were they on the goal line? I don't know. Excuse me. Ultimately, how close they were to doing it, but it was going to be Landry Shamet. And I like Landry. I've always liked Landry Shamet. I don't like him as a starter for a team that's trying to win the NBA championship. So the fact that they had to even think about doing that and got to a point organizationally where they're like, maybe we do something pretty radical, and it probably would have been Bridges or Bridges or Hart. I mean, who are you sitting down, right?
Yeah.
Somebody's making good money, at least 20-something, $25 million a year, as both of those guys are. So if it's not the head coach that you have belief in that's going to get you to a championship, if it's not the superstar that you have ultimate belief that he's going to get you to the championship, if it's not the supporting cast, same deal, and it's not the relationship between your two best players on the court, like Brunson and Cat, although they did do a little more pick and roll the other night. Oh, what a concept. I don't know why the hell you wouldn't do that every time down. If they sag off Brunson, bang, jumper in your mug. If they leave Cat open, bang, three in your face. The hell's so hard about this? I really don't understand it, but they did do that a little bit the other night, to be fair. So if it's not that relationship, I want you to answer this, because you're a Celtics fan, but I know you can do this objectively. What objectively stated is the real reason why a Knicks fan could get up today and say, I believe that we're going to win the championship? I'm all ears. Hit me up.
Okay, so I think it's a mixture of things. I think it's because this is quote unquote the best team in so many years. And so, you're, as a Knicks fan, you're up in that sense where you're like, okay, I'm on the same tier with these other championship rosters. We're here. We've made it.
We here.
Yeah,
my guy, Big Zoo. Shout out to we here. We outside.
But I also think there's a bit of a thought of a possibility of, okay, and this is true. Any injuries could occur in the playoffs. Anything like that could happen.
Yeah, that's true.
Tatum could happen. A Thunder could happen. But based on the Knicks roster themselves, I don't really know what you're looking at here, because, Bridges and OG at this point, to me, they're names. They're names.
Yes.
They're not great. They're not great role players. They're people who you heard of playing for their other teams 3 years ago, and you went, wow, that guy is really great. That guy's
and by real quick, Jay, that's a great. I want you to finish, but I don't want to lose this point, especially given the positions that they play. 3-and-D guys, which is obviously the rage in the NBA. Can you D it up? Can you shoot? Go ahead. That's a good point.
No, can you D up? Can you shoot? They can both D up a pretty, they're both pretty good defenders, but in terms of true shooting, true bucket getters, it's not who they are. It's not who they are. They're more akin to, I always bust this guy out as my comparison.
What, Robert Horry?
No, Sam Hauser's always like my comparison. They're closer.
They're better than Sam Hauser.
No, they're way better than him, especially on defense. But scoring-wise, they're closer to him than they are to a LeBron James type.
True, but hold on a sec, Jay. But they should. That's kind of the point. So I think it gets back to the first issue. They shouldn't have to be like a LeBron James type. You've got Brunson and Cat.
Yes,
they're supposed to be role players, but the top two players don't mesh enough. That's why my conviction's just not there. You know what I'm saying? And think about the other thing that you just said, and it's a salient point, and it applies to every team every season, whether it's baseball, an ace. If so-and-so's elbows bark and he's going to go for imaging, let's hope it's not Tommy John. You always have to hold your breath with injuries. Football, quarterback, obviously Mahomes rips up his knee. Other quarterbacks, running backs get hurt. I get it. Star defensive ends like Bosa, dudes like that, you get hurt, it changes the entire complexion of your team. But we're Celtics fans in the 80s. Now, that's one of the best teams of all time. So it's maybe the best. But so it's not a great example. But we're Celtics fans in the 80s saying, well, listen, maybe there's some injuries that could happen around the rest of it. So maybe that's an avenue to win. Or do you think in Chicago when MJ and Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant, that first iteration before Rodman, and all the shooters they had, Hodges, Tucker, Kerr, guys like that, you think that they were sitting there saying, well, listen, maybe if Patrick Ewing pulls a hamstring or Charles Barkley, pulls a thigh muscle, we can win the championship? No, they reacted to what they had. And really, when you're that good, all right, your main hope shouldn't be rooted in somebody else's demise.
Yeah, no. And I think the only team, honestly, in the NBA, maybe the Pistons have this a little, but I don't even think so. I think the only team who's kind of in that position where they're kind of looking down is the Thunder, where the Thunder are not going into the playoffs with any caveats in mind that they're looking for. Yep. Whereas like every other team, even the Celtics are hoping for maybe an injury, not hoping, but like hoping for some tribulations to come in the way of the Thunder, the Knicks, the Pistons. every Eastern Conference or the Eastern Conference team that comes out of the East is going to come out of the East because the other teams that are also in the East, the Knicks, the Pistons, the Celtics, the other two faced a tough road to the Eastern Conference Finals or face like a lot of injuries or tribulations along the way.
Look at J-Rod flexing some of that
There's my
NBA. Now,
thought.
J-Rod in the house. Look at him. They didn't go to Syracuse for nothing, folks. That a boy. That was good. You're right. And you think about this. You talk about injuries as well. And then you mentioned the Thunder. Well, the only time that they would, like their fan base would talk about injuries, it's like, as long as we stay healthy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Difference, not if the Jokic goes down or Murray, like when he hurt his knee a couple of years ago, whatever it might be. So, no, I mean, I'm going to be locked in. We'll do some live watches with the Knicks. I can't wait. Once the playoffs start, it looks like they'll play the Raptors in the first round. I love that matchup. There was a point where I wasn't even sure. I had great confidence Knicks based on the matchup would be a lock to get through the first round. I would be stunned if they lost to the Raptors. They will move on. Yeah, they'll beat the Raptors. But round two, I don't know, man. All right, let's get this. Notorious Doe 113. Bridges and OG going to have to take it to another level in the playoffs here. Offensively, in order for this team to win a championship zone reality, they'll be out of the game, out of the playoffs by, round two. Think about that. So that's the other thing, too. When many of your opinions or hopes or both are based on players doing something that they have not consistently done, you're not going to win. Because that might happen in the first round, but to win an NBA championship, it's not like football where you got to win a couple of games, right? Now you got to play well to win those games. But in the NBA, you've got to play 2 months, basically from tax day until the middle of June. Great. You could have a bad game. You can't have a series where the things that you've kind of worked around all year or coached around or tried to fix, they're going to resurface. God, this goes back to, I said this when I was talking about my horrendous golf game as I played golf yesterday for the first time this year. I like the analogy of, and I use this for St. John's' lack of shooters as well from the outside, their guards going into the tournament, and it actually wound up hurting them, where we all have a club in our bag. We just don't, we try to avoid. Just, you clip it, you hosel it, you line it, you flub it, whatever you do. Just doesn't feel right. Now, conversely, there's always a club in your bag where you're like, all right, I'm playing horrendously, but this guy usually gets me. And it happened to me yesterday where I just playing terribly, as I said. I take it, and I usually, my buddy Dan always says it too. He's like, man, your 6-iron always clicks in. And I had a 6-iron from the rough about 190 something, and it bounced off the green. And I'm like, all right, that fell pure. That felt good. Didn't do it again the rest of the day. But the point is that like that's one thing that I generally feel good about. And then there are a couple of clubs from a couple of distances I don't want any part of. But eventually, if you play enough golf, you're going to have to use it. Otherwise, you're not going to be a good golfer, right? And same with the NBA. It's a 2-month marathon. It's not a sprint. It's a 2-month marathon. And for the Knicks to win the championship, they're going to eventually have to rely on a club that they don't like reaching for in their bag because they don't trust it. And I don't trust it. And that club, instead of a 5-wood, it's going to be Bridges. Or instead of a flop shot, it's going to be OG or whatever it might be. You guys know what I mean by this. It's irrefutable. Now, I'm not telling you not to be hopeful, not to have faith, not to be pumped up, not to enjoy the game tonight against the Celtics. I'm really even though the Celtics are incredibly banged up, which I'll get to again in a minute, but it's just, it's 3 games to go. I want to see the rotation. I want to see if they do a little bit more pick and pop with Brunson and Cat. I want to see, again, the minute distribution. I'm looking for a few things here. Not so much the opponent, because they're very diminished, the Celtics tonight, but more from a Knicks point of view, right? But anything that's rooted in like any other than pure optimism and maybe a little sprinkle of delusion, to be very honest with you, I don't know how you feel it. I don't know how you feel it. And I'm a big Knicks fan, but I'm also honest here. And I have really not felt this team more than maybe 2 or 3 spurts for the season when they won the Cup. And not just because they won the Cup, but because how they looked en route to the Cup and all that stuff. And, another spurt here and there. But even that winning streak that I talked about a week or so ago where they won 7 straight, the 2 games before that out west against the Lakers and the Clippers didn't play well. And then they won 7 against like the Wizards, the Nets, some bad teams. I don't have the other teams in front of me, but I know it was a few of those teams. You're supposed to win those games. And then the 2 games after that, they lost to the Hornets, who were playing very well at home, and maybe the Thunder. I think maybe that was the second Thunder game. As anytime myself, I can only tell you how I feel, gets that real belief like, all right, okay, here we go. It's starting to click. They're starting to gel. This is what I thought it would look like. There's evidence to the contrary. And that's where I've tapped my brakes. And now I'm just watching, eyes wide open, understanding what they're very good at. And they are very good at certain things, but really knowing / fearing their weaknesses, I believe, will prove to be fatal. I mean, listen, anybody can sit here, right, and say, take the Yankees, for example. You know, the alarm is still going off, Jay. Every time I take a pause and just stay silent for a second,
it goes off.
The timing is perfect. That's when I hear it. Oh, my God. Like the Yankees, right? You got a couple of guys who aren't hitting. Jazz, what is he, $167? No, $190. Grisham hasn't done a damn thing. He better get going here, man, because Grisham's going to become a target. I know it's early, but he's hitting 167. Ryan McMahon is just, I'm not going to go on. He's just an easy target. I'm not looking to be disrespectful, but he stinks. He's hitting 077. And my guy Boone yesterday, I can't defend this, right? Cannot, and I will not even try. Aaron Boone said last night that, and Ryan McMahon played shortstop, something they kind of messed around with in spring training. They wanted to get Caballero off the field because he hasn't been hitting either. And then Rosario, the 2 home runs the other night, including a 3-run game-winning shot against Leiter in the 8th inning. You want to reward Rosario with some more time. So anyway, Rosario was at third and McMahon at short. And after the game, I mean, Boone's like, I know you got to back you guys. I get that, but you can't lie to us. You know, he's like, Ryan McMahon's he's a good hitter. He's not. He's one of the worst hitters in baseball. You know, just look at his 9 or 10-year career. I mean, it's mostly league average, and some of the OPS and deeper. I mean, that's not deep at this point, but some of the other deeper analytical stuff, he's way below average, like strikeout rate, some other stuff. So I don't get. But the point is, right? I can present to you in an incredibly optimistic way. You know, I love Ben Rice, although he did have a really rough night playing defense last night. But, like, you know, Ben Rice is a stud, and Jazz is going to get going. He's going to go 40-40, and Volpe's going to come back, and he's going to, you know, be the player that everybody thought he would be when the Yankees took him in the first round out of high school, Del Barton in New Jersey. And McMahon's going to start popping bombs with that short porch and, you know, remain Greg Nettles with the leather. And Austin Wells is going to find, you know, a way to become a 250 hitter with power. And Grisham's going to start replicating what he did a year ago. And Judge is going to be Judge. And Belly, who's been good, is going to remain Belly. And Cole's going to come back, and he's going to be amazing, which I do expect. And with Schlittler and the other guys, obviously Freed and this and that, a bulletin. I know Bednar stumbled last night, but Bednar is going to be on lock. And then these young flamethrowers going to come up and really make the bullpen untouchable. Of course, I can present to you an incredibly overly optimistic view of the Yankees. Now, I'm bullish on the Yankees. I'm more bullish on the Yankees' chances than I am the Knicks' chances this year, just to be clear. But I ran through those scenarios. Anybody can sit here and say, well, if this happens and that happens and this guy does this and this guy fixes that, do the same thing with the Mets. You know, if Polanco starts hitting, if Simeon's not done, you know, if Lindor, you know, finishes top 3 in the MVP, and Bichette's going to be a beast. And if this early sign from Alvarez is a foreshadow of a big season, and Luis Robert, who started very well and is getting a little chilly now, is going to go back to what he was the first 2 weeks, and Bench is going to figure things out despite hitting 108. And, you know, Soto comes back and he's going to win the MVP, and Peralta is going to be better. He's got to be a little bit better, but he's going to be better than he's been so far. And McClain's going to just kill it and be a beast. And they're going to call up this kid, and Devin Williams going to have 46 saves with a 1.270. All right. He might, but like, that's the overly optimistic view of what the Mets could do. Anybody could do that with any team, even a bad team. So I really do think that that's the only way that you can sit here with 3 games to go in the season and identify the Knicks as a true championship contender. You could say they're in the mix, and they are. They're one of 5 or 6 teams, but to me, they're 5 or 6. They're not 1, 2, or 3 or 4. And if you're not 1, 2, 3, or 4, unless it's a real outlier of an NBA season, you ain't winning. So here we go. It looks like the drought's going to continue. Again, I hope I'm wrong. BT, Bridges is one thing, but why are we suddenly acting like OG is some disappointment? That is from Omar. Listen, I definitely delineate between OG and Bridges. OG's better. He's just better. I think the problem with OG Anunoby, and this is also a problem a little bit of Brunson as the point guard who likes to shoot. I just feel like sometimes the ball sticks. And, you know, you're going to only do so much to go. You can't run up to Brunson and say, give me the ball. It's got to run plays for you. And, you know, he's not the first option. Many times, you know, you would think that he shouldn't be the second option. That should be Cat. But there's been many games, as we've documented, where he's had single-digit shot attempts, which is confounding. And that's on Mike Brown and partially on Cat. He's got to be more assertive. You would think that OG really would be the third option. Like, to me, in a perfect world, I would love to see, like, in terms of shot distribution, you know, let's go Brunson. Oh God! As soon as I
can't hear it. I can't hear it.
I know you can't. I can. Talk about plowing through some noise here. Let's say Brunson, I'd say 15. I know he takes more than this, but in my perfect world, just allocation of shots, 15 to 16 for him. And he should take the most shots every night. We'll get Cat in the neighborhood of, 12 to 13, but it can never be below that. He just can't. Like, unless it's a game where Brunson is dropping 50 or 45 and he's just eating and let everybody just get out of the way and let Brunson cook, which he obviously does. And he's done it in the postseason with a ton of 40-point games. But I'm saying at a conventional roadmap here. 15, 16 shots for Brunson, 12 to 13 for Cat. I would absolutely want OG double figures, 10 or 11. I would say Bridges would be next in line here with 7 to 9, And then obviously you start filling in like the Harts and the Shamits. Deuce, who I want to shoot. Deuce, to me, Deuce should actually have the same amount of shots that Bridges has every night. Now, it doesn't always work that way. He's not shy, but it doesn't always work that way. And there's a little redundancy, a little bit with OG and Bridges. I just thought it would look better. And we're at the crossroads now, and we'll see. Again, you know where I stand on this. I don't know. But I started the show, if you guys just tuned in, there's two reasons why you would really think your team's got a chance to win a championship. One would be the team that you root for. I don't care what team it is, like just that belief and conviction in the team, the way they're built, the way they're coached or managed, depending upon the sport, number one. And then number two, circumstances. Are you in an incredibly difficult conference where it's a very arduous road to get out of the conference to even get to the championship, right? In this case, the NBA Finals. Are there a lot of injuries? And, that's one of the things that we really thought would benefit the Knicks this year. It has not. So I would say, let me ask you this here, Jay. I want you to give me a number.
What's up?
On a scale of 1 to 10, based on everything that you've heard me say about the Knicks since you and I started working together here, 10 being the most supremely confident and 1 being completely a non-believer, give me a number that you think I currently reside at in terms of my Knick belief to win. And I'm going to write it down. And I'm going to hold it. Wait. Don't say it yet. I got to write down. My Knick belief to win a championship.
To win a championship specifically.
Championship. Hold on. I got to look at
championship.
My first number was too high. All right. I have it written down. I'm going to pop it up in a second. Come on, Jay. Let's be on the same page.
2.5. Is it out of any half?
Yeah, you can throw in fractions if you.
2.5. 2.5.
2.5. Where is it? Can you see it there? Bang.
3. All right. Close.
Look at him.
Close.
And if you can see, I actually had a 4, and I'm like, no, I don't feel that.
You're definitely lower than a 4.
Yeah.
In terms of thinking they're a good team, I think you're up there. I think you think they're a good team.
No, they're a good team.
Championship, man. You have not let up in that belief.
No, because they've given me no evidence to really change my mind. I've said this a million times. I don't mind being wrong. Like, I want to be wrong, even though I gave, say, Aaron Glenn a little bit more rope than many others did. But, like, I don't have great belief in him. Why would I? I want to be wrong on that. Like, when I benefit for being wrong, I don't mind being wrong.
Exactly. Yeah, it works out.
Oh, my God. If you think about this, right? Think about the essence of what this is. Now, the format's changed, at least for me. The medium has evolved beyond almost recognition from when WFAN was born back in 87 with Susan Waltman with the first update. But if you really think, this is actually an easy question. If you think like, what is the core existence, reason, or debate point? I'm trying to frame it right, because if I don't frame it right, it's not going to be easy for you to answer. But I want you to take a stab at it. What do you think is the main pursuit of every conversation or call in the history of sports radio, and obviously now extending to platforms like this.
Generate buzz.
No, that's actually a really good guess. Now I think it's more about generating buzz. But what back then, I don't think it was about generating buzz. I think it was about, I think the reason,
What's the thought?
I think the reason why people call and espouse what they espouse and tweet what they tweet is because it is the ultimate motivation is to win a championship. All the calls you get about this general manager, this head coach, who should the Jets draft, who should the Giants draft, who should the Ravens draft, what should the Steelers do at quarterback, should the Titans draft the running back, Jeremiah Love, when running backs generally shouldn't go that high. It's all rooted in having your team make enough right choices to get to a point to win a championship. Yeah. That's all that it's about. Anything. Like, I'm just trying to think of some of the 3 years that I was on the Fan, some of the real hot button. Obviously, Daniel Jones was one. Right? I'm going to just jot down some stuff here. Daniel Jones, Dable, Shane, Aaron Rodgers was massive.
Oh my God,
that was huge, dude. Soto,
yeah,
of course. I mean, that's probably the biggest one. Yamamoto was a big one, at least for us. Yamamoto, the pursuit of him. All right, so I'm going to go with those, right? Daniel Jones, and there's so many others. Daniel Jones, Dable, Rodgers, Soto, and Yamamoto. Now, every one of those, like anytime somebody would call up about Daniel Jones, it's never, sometimes it gets personal, but it's never rooted in trying to, talk about somebody's personality. Is this guy, at that point, is Daniel Jones good enough to help the Giants win Lombardi number 5? Yep. Nothing else mattered. If you thought he was too boring or too vanilla, that's fine. Can you win this way when he's running the way he does and getting hurt and putting himself in harm's way? Can you win a Lombardi with Daniel Jones? That's what all the calls were about. How much is he worth? And even that, if you go to the subset of that, how much should this player get in free agency or whatever? But in the NFL with the salary cap, it's more pertinent. How much, is he worth the $25 million the Giants gave him? Whatever, even though they were easy outs, as we know. But I think it was $25 million. Oh, is it too much? Oh, you're paying him how much? Well, all right, if he's not really that guy, well, is it too much that's going to prevent you from doing other stuff in terms of building out the roster to what? Well, Joe in the back of the class? What's that, Joe? What? Yes, Joe. To win a championship. Yes, Joe. Dable. You think about the calls and the, all the storylines around Brian Dable, quarterback whisperer, whatever, coming from Buffalo, Josh Allen, all that stuff. His first game as a Giants coach. We're going for 2. We're going for the win. Let's go. Showing balls. The exact, and I'm not saying that the other Giant coaches didn't have stones. I don't mean to I'm not trying to be that guy, but like Dable projected a different energy, like a different culture shift. Like we're going for it. And the way he lit up, he eviscerated Jones in that Tennessee game. And you Giant fans remember that on the sideline. I think it may have been for a bad 2-point conversion pass in the back? Whatever it was, he made a mistake. I think he was trying to connect with Saquon. And he undressed him because no other Giants coach had done that. And Dable, so we're sitting there saying, all right, wow. So they won the first game. Jones looked a little different. He was incredibly aggressive. He's obviously demonstrative on the sideline. So from there, every conversation, well, is this guy the early ones? Maybe we found our new Parcells. Maybe we found the modern Parcells. And then it morphed into, all right, when are we going to fire this guy? Can you win anything with Dable? And Mike, back there. Mike, what was that? Again, what was the core debate with Dable? What's that? Yes, correct. Can you win a championship with Dable? Soto was a little different, I will admit. Soto was different because when you have a player like Soto, you just know he's obviously going to impact the bottom line toward a championship, although it didn't work out for the Mets last year with 83 wins and no playoff appearance, but it did work out for the Yankees getting there. And he is great. And eventually, when these Mets figure everything out, you would think that he'll get to, at some point, I would think, a World Series with the Mets. So it was never about that. It was more about, the infighting between the Yankee and the Met fans. So that was definitely unique. Aaron Rodgers, right? Now, Rodgers was unique in the sense because it was a lot of politics and a lot of those who don't like Aaron Rodgers for a lot of different reasons, evasive or even lying, if you want to say lying, which I don't think he lied. I think he was just evasive and, a little cute with the COVID shot and all that stuff. And I love Rodgers. I'm an Aaron Rodgers. I don't care what anybody thinks. I like Aaron Rodgers, but many of you don't, right? But when Rodgers came, hey, listen, you got this defense. Think about what the Jets defense looked like with Robert Saleh. Remember, they were 7-4 with Zach Wilson before, a little bit of an uptick. And with Rodgers, you would think it would be a lot of an uptick, but then he got hurt, of course, because they're the Jets. But hey, with this uptick in offense, and you got Breece Hall, you got Garrett, you got Sauce, you got Q, you got DJ Reed as a cornerback, you're cooking. Mary, Mary, if you really think about it, Mary, what all those conversations about the Jets back when they got Rodgers, right, aside from the other stuff that people jumped into, the football stuff, what was that about, Mary? Yes, correct. Could the Jets win a championship with Aaron Rodgers? It's all rooted in championship pursuit. So when Mike, and I love Mike again, I don't want this to get, hijacked. When Mike Breen says what he said the other night on the game, disagree, don't want to hear it. It is about the championship. When I hear from Knicks fans, well, why can't we win? Well, you can. We can. I just don't think that we will, because I don't think that we're good enough. And if you choose not to acknowledge that, that's fine. Maybe you'll be proven right, and you could bang your chest on the top of the mountain. And I'm not going to lie. I'll jump in. I'm going to jump in on the train because I'll be living and dying with every Knick possession for the next couple of months. You know that. But, it's very, very interesting. Same with the Yamamoto. Same with any other Japanese player. Can we get this guy? Oh, what's the scouting report? Let me get some video. Oh, he's got the fork ball, the ghost ball. He throws 99. Yankees offered this, 325, 3 AAV. Dodgers this, Mets that. Where's he going? Yanks wanted him. Mets wanted him. Dodgers wanted him. Why? Susie. Susie has not really participated much these last couple of weeks here in class. Yes, Susie. And what was that conversation rooted in? Yes, winning a championship. So that's all this is. This isn't hate. This isn't shade. But I'm not going to get on my show and tell you something that I don't believe about anything. Now, that obviously, some of my beliefs are just going to be flat out wrong. And some of my beliefs are going to be just flat out dumb, like I've been proven with the Zach stuff and, some of the other stuff that's out there that I can never get away from, as we know, because it always lives on the internet. But that's the bottom line. And that's the bottom line. That's the bottom line there, J-Rod. Oh, speaking of the bottom line.
Yeah, what's up?
There's something here with WWE. Where are we? If we get a little update here, as I call on J-Rod, who is a good student, sits in the front of the room.
Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, geez, that's not a good sign. Can I get an update on the pursuit of one, Jake the Snake Roberts?
See. Let me
and Hacksaw.
my daily check.
This doesn't sound promising.
No, that was for Hacksaw Ridge.
By the way, I did not hear the beeping, even though there's been a lull.
Yeah, no, I'm not hearing anything. All right, so have not heard back via email. Now we take to Twitter. We take to Twitter now. Okay. Now, one more question. I will say another thing.
Go for it, man.
Both of their podcasts seem to have been discontinued.
What?
If you go on Jake the Snake's YouTube page, their last episode was like 8-9 months ago.
Are you serious? I hope everything's all right. Yeah. What about Hacksaw?
I think similar. Like his last podcast was a decent while ago as well.
Really?
Let me check. Yeah.
Okay. That's tough here. I'm gonna have to maybe come up with another name. There's just not many guys though who are still alive that from that era. Let alone I would want to talk to.
No, big time. I mean, let's see the Hacksaw Hour. Yeah, there hasn't been an episode in a while.
Oh, that was a gimmick at Hacksaw. I love to have him on the show. I never loved this gimmick, man.
Sure.
I loved
what was his thing? Because I know he's a New Yorker, but I don't know if that was like
America,
that wasn't
which I love.
Okay.
No, his whole thing was patriotism. Like that was great. But like he would come in, with the 4x4, and he'd have this ridiculous, goofy look, and he'd be in the middle of the ring. God knows, and he's talked about this, so I'm not talking out of school. God knows what type of drugs were flowing through that guy's system when he was in the middle of the ring, screaming at the top of his lungs with a 2x4 over his shoulder and the American flag, and this big barrel-chested monster going, oh! But the gimmick was, I don't think he was a great wrestler. He wasn't great on the mic, but he did represent the flag. So
there you go.
He always had that red. I don't think he ever did a heel turn. Like Sergeant Slaughter was,
I remember him,
Marine, But then he was a sympathizer for an Iraqi sympathizer.
That was like his heel turn?
Yes.
Dude, the WWE just loves these like little, like, dude, I'll tell you, this is like one of the wildest things. If anyone is like a kind of a modern WWE fan, do you remember the wrestler Alberto Del Rio?
No.
He's kind of a 2010s guy.
I know Jack Del Rio, the former coach.
He was like
linebacker.
He was like the Spanish, and it was I think it was kind of playing into a lot of like at the time, it was kind of when like a lot of immigration stuff began to be like spoken about. And he was like John Cena's main rival. And he was like the evil Spanish dude who John Cena would come in and just beat the shit out of like every week.
But was he like when you say it was one of his main rivals? Did he ever fight for the belt?
Oh, he definitely had the championship a couple times. Oh, wow. I mean, I just always found it funny how like WWE just always played on like these like racial battles like there's like the white American buzz cut hero guy, and then he's fighting off just like all the enemies.
Yeah, no, they did. Even that's one of the real not that they played up to the stereotype necessarily, but that's why Bruno Sammartino. If you talk about immigrants and the Italian influence, certainly on Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan. You're going back really post World War II. I'm sure before that. Yes, absolutely before that. What am I saying? Before World War II, but definitely thereafter as well. And that's on my maternal side. I know that well because my half Italian. But one of the reasons why Bruno had the belt as long as he did was because all the Italians would go to Madison Square Garden to root him on. And I know it was a totally different era. And like they didn't really have as many characters back then. Sure. But I look at the film of Bruno, and he was he could bench and squat. He was a strong man of pride, and he really was. He was an American hero for Italian Americans.
I mean, he's certainly one of the names that gets tossed around.
No doubt about it. But I look at the footage, and I'm like, God, what a boring champion, man. He was horrible on the microphone to the point where when Vince brought him in as an announcer, he was terrible. It was a very different era. That was the start of it, but that wasn't a heritage gimmick. That was just like natural. Like, hey, here's a big, hairy, like this hairy chest, like muscular. Yeah. Looks like he can move a car. The nose and everything, like stereotypical. I'm half Italian. I could say this. So
of course
he looked Italian. I mean, Bruno Sammartino. People flocked. My grandmother used to go watch him at the Garden all the time with her twin sister. Rest in peace. Yeah, that's dude. Cool. I got a funny story for you. I don't think I've ever told you this story on the air. I don't think I ever have.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you the story about when my grandma and my aunt intervened in a wrestling match at the Garden?
Absolutely
please
not.
No. All right. Now, intervened is a loose interpretation of intervening. But now back then, the ticket prices were cheap. And everybody's smoking in the arena, like the Garden. Like it was a totally different vibe, right? So they were able to get good seats. Now, they didn't come from money. My grandfather on my maternal side had 4 or 5 jobs at one point. Damn. Yeah, he was a short order cook. He fixed televisions. I think he did some security. I know when he was young, he was literally shoveling coal to help his family put food on the table. Like that's how my family started in America on the Italian side. And so they didn't have a lot of money is the point. So, but they were able, because it was cheap, to get these great seats. And my grandmother and her twin, oh my God, they filled up a water gun with vinegar, right?
Okay.
Yep. And if you're old enough, and I barely remember watching these guys wrestle, but I certainly know historically, the Moondogs, Rex.
Yeah.
They would wear tattered jeans, long blonde hair. I think they came in, they were biting a bone. Look, they were supposed to be like subhuman, right?
Yep.
And they were pretty good. Like they would fight like Mr. Fuji and Mr. Saito, Pedro Morales when he was he actually held all the belts at one point, but when he was tag team champion. Anyway, so one of them, I don't know if it was Spot or Rex, goes flying out of the ring, right? And my grandma and my aunt are right on the barrier, like the metal barricade where a lot of guys are dropping hammers and doing stuff. She takes the water gun and fires it right in his eye. Vinegar.
What? That's badass.
Vinegar, man. How do you like that there, Moondog? Get back in the ring. Go get the shit kicked out of you.
Yo, that is
man.
so cool.
Yeah, and I say that because back then I've seen so many documentaries. I could watch this stuff all day. Where, guys, and I go back to the Sergeant Slaughter as an Iraqi sympathizer in the 90s, early 90s, Desert Storm. Like, I mean, history, that's not a good thing as an American to sympathize with that for sure. And by making that heel turn, like when a guy had heat back in the day, I don't mean now, real heat, fans would like wait outside the parking lot with a baseball bat or a gun. I mean, it was a lawless environment.
That's crazy, man.
How crazy is that?
And so it's like, okay, obviously the people still knew it was fake or acting or some deal, but just like their vitriol towards the superstars was just greater.
Yeah. Well, first of all, kayfabe, which is when you stay in the orientation of character. Yeah. Now everybody deviates from it because everybody knows it's entertainment. It's Definitely. A totally different presentation. My dad hated it. He couldn't stand. I told you this. He hated when I watched it. I watch it all the time. He's like, these idiots. Look at these jerks. These guys are morons. He didn't like it, right? And my grandma loved it. She introduced me to it, and she believed it was real. She believed it was real. I remember, God Almighty, was it Morocco? Who was a really good heel. I'm going to wrap it up after this, but Dom, go and look on this. Not now, but if you're interested, I thought it was Jimmy Snuka and Morocco. So before Piper smacked him with the coconut, and before that, right? Earlier 80s, 80, 81, 82, something like that. They had a massive rivalry. And that's when Jimmy went to the top of the cage at the Garden and did the Superfly from the metal. I mean, like 10 feet higher than the
I've got it pulled up. That's crazy.
Okay. And the picture, because he was all bloodied and Morocco was just laying there and Jimmy's bloodied everywhere. And he just held the pose. And you can't see it with this and just took it all in for a second before he splashed him.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, back then, it was totally different with Mean Gene. Mean Gene would do the interviews with the WWF logo behind him. And guys would roll in, and it would be Mean Gene in the middle, and say Andre and Heenan or Hogan and whomever, Hogan by himself, Bundy and Heenan. But back then, Jim McMahon would do the interviews by the ring.
Oh,
I don't know if you knew that. I'm talking late 70s, early 80s, right? And I think it was Snuka was doing an interview in a suit. And I actually think that this was the start of their rivalry going up to the steel cage match. Anyway, Morocco attacks him when he's doing the interview. And I think Jimmy was bloodied there. They got after it. Obviously, fake, cut yourself, blood packets, whatever. But it looked real, and they sold the shit out of it. And I remember my grandma, one of the things that a lot of Italians, the old school Italians, when they're mad at somebody, well, first they'll curse you, and they'll jinx you, and they'll throw all the curses on you. But they'll go, not really spit, but they'll pretend that they're spitting at something. My grandma jumped up. I just remember watching this with her and started cursing in Italian and feigning spitting at the TV at Don Morocco.
That's
so
too
did
funny.
They believe it? Did they believe it was real? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they believed it.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
So I mean, if that's the case, I mean, you must have a different kind of energy watching it, where you're going, "This guy's a real life villain."
Oh yes. Oh my God. Yes. There were certain wrestlers that you just, and that was. Maybe I do. I could talk wrestling all day, so I'll give you another minute or two on this. If I'm boring everybody to tears, hopefully I'm not. But one of the things that I loved about Piper, first of all, his work on the mic, number one all time for me, the best, right? Storytelling, angles, wit. People think that Roddy was a brawler, which he was, even outside of the ring. He could actually handle him. He was a boxer, but he was very smart and witty. And he would divulge later on where he would take notes and write stuff down to get personal with people, before it. And you couldn't find it on Google. I have no idea how he found it, but he did. But the thing about Piper, and as much as I loved his interviews, there was a point where I just wanted to see Hogan just beat the shit out of him.
Yeah.
And others as well. And Piper he perfected the art of getting the last hit in, whether it's smashing Albano over the head with the record that for the manager of the year, or and then slipping out of the ring just as the hero, the baby face, was about to rip him to shreds.
Mm-hmm.
And it always left you like, God, why can't they get this guy and just rip him in two? And then, of course, well, here we go. Now they're going to fight in a month, and now all this sold out.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that anybody was as good at that. Like Hogan didn't project that. He was just a hero. Andre was different. Morocco was, I couldn't stand Morocco, but he was I couldn't stand him in a good way. Piper was, Orndorff had a little bit of that before he became a babyface.
Okay, I don't know if I've heard of him.
Oh, you didn't never heard of Mr. Wonderful?
Oh,
he was
Mr.
good.
Wonderful. Yes.
Oh,
yes,
Mr.
yes.
Wonderful.
Okay. Yeah.
Great body, could fight, real tough guy too. And I thought when he turned good, and it was interesting because he paired up with Hogan, then he turned on him, but he was better as a heel because it was easy to hate him. And I don't know. I don't watch wrestling enough now to know if people who do, inhale this like I used to, if there's a guy or if there's anybody that is similar to Piper. I don't mean on the mic, but where you just want to go, and he just slips out of the ropes, and then he gives you one of these, and he goes behind the curtain.
It's
and just never see him get beat up. I don't think that exists anymore.
I mean, he definitely gets beat up, but I guess Seth Rollins now would maybe be that kind of guy.
I've interviewed Seth. I've interviewed Seth. Yeah,
great dude.
He was great. He was great.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Do you know who? I mean,
of course
maybe I'm showing my age here.
Jim Cornette. I got you. Jim Cornette. Yeah. Were you gonna say Jim Cornetti?
No, I knew how to pronounce the name. I was just like, I'm not sure who this is.
He was manager. I believe he was the guy with the tennis racket. A wrestling historian. That's actually a great name. It's a great name, and I think he would do it.
Okay.
And also, Sal and I had Brother Love in studio. Why am I forgetting? What's
really?
Yes. Well, because I lost the bet and I had to dress up as Brother Love.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember looking at those pictures.
Oh, God almighty. All right, man. Any other chats that you see interesting, worthy of anything you want to pop up?
I mean, there's like a lot of the here. I like this one actually because it made me think for a second, made me ponder.
Okay. I already see it. It's a good point. Christopher Marte, right? Or Morley?
I would have just said Christopher St. Marie or something like that.
Yeah, there you go. That's good. The Knicks have no pedigree, so winning playoff series 3 years in a row and making the Eastern Conference Final counts for nothing. Meanwhile, let's just pencil in Detroit, who's won exactly nothing. It's a really good point. I think the difference, though, is I'm not basing it so much on pedigree. I'm basing it on talent, what it takes to win, connectivity, coaching. That is a very well thought out.
Yeah,
I like that. That's good.
I
don't agree with it, but it's good.
I like the point, and I think I disagree with it as well. I mean, yes, you're right. Like, people are throwing in Detroit into this finals, Eastern Conference finals role without, much of a playoff track record to back it. My thought, though, is I think, like you said, I don't think people are honestly really basing the Eastern Conference. I know even I'm not. I don't think the Celtics are going to make the finals. I think the Pistons are. Like, I think I'm basing it mostly on this season. Who have I seen as the best team in the Eastern Conference? And I'm going to go off of that rather than history because I just think the Pistons have shown that they're that much better than the rest of the crowd.
Okay, that's a fair take. I mean, we've basically played 7 months of basketball, right? Basically, you start in October and middle of April, regular season. 7 months, right? Is an easy question, but I'll let you answer it. Have there been more stories about the lack of chemistry with the Knicks or the concerns about the Knicks or people who are beating their chest? And I don't mean fans. I mean people who cover the game for a living saying the Knicks are the team to beat. What's the answer? We know
it's more chemistry. It's more chemistry.
Yeah, it's more chemistry. I mean, the Karl Anthony Towns story was a story the first week of training camp when he said, they said, hey, what's your role with Mike Brown? The new offense, what's your role? And he's like, I don't know. We're still trying to figure things out. And I didn't go nuts on that. I knew you had to give it time to breathe, and it's a new system and all that stuff, new coach. So I wasn't going to go nuts. But then he said the same thing a week and a half ago. Yeah. So he bookended it. Not good. Hope I'm wrong. Don't know that I will be, but we're here for it. All right, last one. What do you got? Which special team? Yeah, go ahead. Why don't you read it? Go ahead.
Rod Power,
Ooh.
which specialty match do you like more in wrestling? The chain match or the I Quit match? Now, the chain match is which one?
Well, the chain match is when you basically, it's similar. If this is what you can keep that up, Rod. I think what Rod's talking about is it was called a dog collar match, where you would put a dog collar around your neck and you'd be connected by this massive chain. I mean, thick. And the other guy would have the dog collar connected to his neck. So you couldn't run away from each other. And there was only like 10 feet of give.
That is insane.
Yes. And a matter of fact, I mentioned Roddy Piper before. He was in, this before they came to the WWF. I think it was the NWA, but it could have been the AWA. One of those two for sure. Down south somewhere. And they were in a dog collar match. I think it was like 82 or 83. And Greg Valentine hit Roddy Piper so hard in the ear. Greg Valentine, his dad was a wrestler.
Yeah.
A tough guy as well.
He's bleeding.
It busted his eardrum.
Yeah, dude. It's like disgusting. Yeah.
And it busted his eardrum. And, Roddy obviously died a while ago, but even up until his death, like his hearing was always impacted. I don't know if he was fully deaf, but he just obliterated his eardrum. So if that's what you mean, I'm going to go with the old school dog. I'm going to give you all the ones I remember. All right, steel cage is basic at this point, but back in the day it wasn't, and it was really, really cool. All right, battle royal, you see that a lot. Cage.
Hell in a Cell.
There was this thing called the lumberjack match, which is always interesting. You remember that?
Is that when you got thrown out the ring? And they were like, it was like there were the superstars who would be around the ring.
No, I thought that was when physically you had like a piece of wood. Maybe I might be messing that up.
Okay.
I could be wrong on that.
Because I thought lumberjack was like a style of match where you're like a log of wood yourself. Where when you fall out of the ring, it's like they've got the rest of the WWE roster, ringside to push you back in.
That's interesting. Okay. It's funny. There was a gimmick match too where Andre would wrestle like three vertically challenged people.
Yep.
And it would just be like a circus.
Modern WWE had something similar. This guy Ryback. I mean, he wouldn't be. He wouldn't be wrestling like true vertically challenged folks.
Yeah.
He would be wrestling just like skinny schmucks, like I don't know, dudes who look like me. Like he just like put him in a backbreaker.
Oh, the backbreaker was a good one. I like the battle royal. I mean, the old ones. What I always found interesting about the battle royal is that, say you have 20-man battle royal, right? And then, Garfinkel, with the announcer.
Yeah.
And it was just a sound that connected, like naming all the wrestlers. I loved it. But what I always found interesting about that, I always had such intrigue because 20 guys, you're gonna have 10 good guys, 10 bad guys, right? Generally. Yeah. And you'll have like a couple of guys who have no chance of winning. First couple of guys over the top rope, like say the Killer Bees, like B. Brian Blair. No disrespect, but got jumping Jim Brunzell or like a Tony Garea or somebody like that. One of the Fugees or one of the Samoans, right?
Yeah.
But what I always found interesting was, like, number one, eventually you had to have heel go against heel at some point, or good go against good. And the other thing I loved is you'd see this a lot with Andre and Hulk for sure, where you'd have like three heels conspire against Hulk to try to get him out. And then like Hulk would flip somebody over the rope and he'd be out. Oh my God. So I always enjoyed that as well. But always good going through memory lane with that. So so Cornette would be a good get. Let's try to get him as well.
Jim Cornette. I'll reach out to him as well.
And Brother Love. And don't forget, I wouldn't tap out on Jake and Hextall.
No, I'm gonna keep
going though. All right,
keep going. I just don't know how active like whoever was running their social media or some stuff is currently. That's my only thought.
Gotcha. Understood.
Keep it going.
Only so much you could do. Good luck to you, Celtics, tonight. I don't really say that sincerely.
No.
By the way, 4 of the 5 starters might not play. You got Cade is probably not going to play. Derek White, Hauser, Jaylen Brown all banged up. So this was not about, Knicks Celtics tonight necessarily, more about the direction of the East and just my lack of belief with 3 games to go for the Knicks to win a championship. So thanks again to our sponsors, Sullivan Papain, of course, and Premio Sausage. Have a great rest of your Thursday. Let's get it up tonight, though. That little Jets collective you still have there. It is. Look at them. Right on point, J-Rod. Good pass. Right on the hands, too. Good job. So we've got that tonight. I got to go figure out this damn buzzer sensor, which I'm sure I won't till my wife gets home. But 7 o'clock tonight, episode number 3 of the Jets Collective with Jake Asman, myself, and Rich Samini. We're going to talk a lot about the draft, the shifting draft wins here pertaining to the Jets at the 2 spot, all the different possibilities, and can't wait. So make sure you go there, check it out, like it, subscribe it, support it, get those comments, get that traction. And, of course, for BT Unleashed, like it, subscribe it, all that good. You didn't get the subscribe button up there today, Jay. It's all good, but you didn't do it. So you're going to do it after yesterday's encouragement. So check that out. And the more comments, and I respond to the comments, we get that bouncing around the algorithm, continue to build out. Thank you, Jared. J-Rod in the house.
Come on now.
Build out, build out, build out. So have a great Thursday. Tomorrow at 10 for this show for Unleashed, and tonight at 7 for the Jets Collective. See ya.
This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me?
With your host, Brandon Tierney.